Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Tenya Eickenberg, and I'm so happy that you are here. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. And I would like to introduce you to the audience. Of course, you are an energy healer and certified life and self care coach dedicated to helping women release emotional baggage and regain strength and happiness after overcoming your own struggles with depression and anxiety. You found that energy healing offers a powerful alternative to traditional treatments. You now use your approach to help others nurture positive energy and achieve holistic healing. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Tenya Eickenberg.
Yay.
So happy to have you here. And my first question is, how did your personal journey with depression and anxiety lead you to discover the power of energy healing?
What led me is that traditional means did not work. I was in the depths of my anxiety and depression when the world started shutting down because of the pandemic. And so I had to go the traditional routes at first because that's all I knew. What led up to that was all of my kids were starting to lead their own lives. Our twins had graduated high school, and like I wasn't busy as a mom anymore. And we moved into a wonderful new community, but winter hit and we weren't as active outside as we had thought we were going to be because we moved in during the winter. But during the pandemic, everything was online. And so I had to have consultations and talk therapy with doctors that I didn't know, doctors that I had to, kind of put a little bit of trust into with these very vulnerable states in which I was in. And, a 15-minute conversation with the talk therapist and the doctor resulted in, just here's a medication, here's an app for you to try, and that was, over about 6 to 8 weeks. I started to not feel as bad, but I wasn't feeling good either. The medication just made me feel numb. And the talk therapy, while I'm sure that she was a wonderful therapist, it felt like she was just kind of going off of a playbook that I had used many times before with other therapists. And so I was not getting the results that I wanted as quickly as I wanted them. And so I was like, you know what, this isn't going to work. I need something that's going to get rid of this. I don't want to suffer with this mental unwellness anymore. I want to thrive in my life. At the time I was 44 years old, and my husband and I were embarking on our empty nest journey. And so I wanted to be able to enjoy it. And so I searched for holistic emotional healing, and this modality called the emotion code popped up. And I was kind of skeptical at first, like, what is muscle testing to begin with? And we're going to release trapped emotions we using a refrigerator magnet. Okay. We'll see how that goes. But I did a couple sessions with a couple different practitioners. And each time I did a session, I felt lighter. And even though it felt like I was falling back into that heaviness of anxiety and depression, each time I did a session, when the heaviness returned, it was not as heavy as it was before. And what I found out was that there's just usually a lot of layers that you have to break through in order to really find the root cause of what's going on energetically. And so with that, I decided to get my certification in the emotion code and the body code, because at the time, for me, as many layers as I felt I had, because I felt like there was a lot there, it was going to be cheaper for me to learn how to do it myself than it was to hire someone to do it. And so that was my catalyst. Was I wanted to heal, and I had this push to heal myself. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know if it was going to work. But at the time, I had a lot of things around not being able to spend money. I was afraid to spend money on myself, and so this was a cheaper way of spending money on myself to heal. And within 4 months of learning the emotion code, the body code, and this other modality called easy entity release, I was about 80% healed. And I knew that there was still something missing, but I couldn't figure out what it was until I joined a coaching program, and the awareness of self-care came into my view, like meditation and journaling. And I had dabbled in all of that stuff before, and I was in this space where I was like, it doesn't work. Like it didn't work before. What makes you think it's going to work now? And one of the coaches suggested, well, why don't you just clear around it? Clear the energies that are preventing you from being able to meditate or be able to journal. And what I found was it was around my mom, both of them. My mom had taught kids when we lived in England how to meditate. But I think because I was so young, I wasn't allowed to be in the room. I had to stay out of the room because I was 7, 8 years old. So I was loud. But I didn't get to participate or learn about it at that age. And then journaling, my mom had invaded my privacy by reading a letter I'd written to my sister at like 13 years old. And now it had some stuff in there that a 13-year-old shouldn't be doing. But at 13 years old, you don't understand that. And, I wanted to tell my sister all about it. And my mom thought it was weird that I was writing to my sister who had just moved out. They didn't have a very good relationship. And so my mom took the letter out of the mailbox and read it and then called me home from school to have a conversation. And so I was embarrassed and I felt shame. And so I didn't write things down anymore. But once I was able to clear around those things, I was able to start meditating again. I was able to start journaling. And then boundaries started to need to be put up. And so I learned how to set boundaries. And so within 6 months of the energy healing and adding in deliberate daily self-care, and I'm talking, I was doing probably 2 to 3 hours of self-care per day for many weeks. I felt like I was 100% healed from my anxiety and depression that I had for 20 plus years. And I just kept stuffing it down. So I was a high functioning, anxious and depressed person. No one knew until 2019. And then my husband didn't even know a lot of how I was feeling until 2020, 2021, when I opened up to him about what I had been going through and how I felt. But this literally saved my life. It was either going to be, something was going to get rid of it, or I was eventually going to harm myself enough that I was going to need to be hospitalized for some reason.
I understand. Thank you so much for sharing. So 20 years of a journey and no one knew about it. Then your mother violating your privacy, so to say, with the letter. And you felt, I think you might have felt excluded from the meditation work your mother did, and you wanted to explore or something that you needed. And then within half a year, you said you were healed 100%, and now you are helping others to do the same for them.
Yeah.
So
and I absolutely love it. I love working with clients, one-on-one group sessions. I love seeing the light bulb go off when my clients realize that they really do have the control to do their own healing. They just have to know what tools to use. And the self-care tools, they're all free and they're good for a lifetime. They never expire.
I love that, what you shared. Thank you so much, because we have all we need already in us, right?
Yeah.
And can you explain how energy healing differs from traditional therapy and why it can be effective in releasing emotional baggage? Because you talked about the blockages you had, you could not, you stopped writing,
Yeah.
right? Mhm.
Yeah. It just, um, I think that talk therapists are incredibly needed. I think that sometimes pharmaceuticals are needed. I'm not against them. It's just that I don't think they need to be used long term. I think we need to learn, and I think that doctors and other people need to share that it is important to get physical movement in. It's important to sit in silence, and be with yourself. It's important to write out your thoughts, write out your desires. We not everything is fixable with a pill, with any pill.
That's true. And you had this medication in the first place, and then you realized there must be something different you can do, especially during the pandemic. Of course, you could not meet in person. And then, yeah, you found out this course, so to say, how do you call it? Yeah, a course. And
Yeah,
you
the emotion code.
decided,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and you decided to become a healer, to teach others as well, not only to apply it for yourself, right? You
Mhm.
share it now, your what you learned, of course. Let me take a look at the next question. What are some common misconceptions about energy healing, and how do you address them in your practice?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that one session is going to heal whatever it is that you're going through. It's definitely going to make you feel lighter at the end of the session. You're definitely going to feel a shift. Um, but depending on how deep whatever it is that you're working on goes, it could take 6 sessions, it could take 12 sessions, it could take an entire year of weekly sessions to get through it. But it's not, you can't just do the subconscious work. You have to do the conscious work as well. You have to change your habits, you have to change your mindset. You have to have the awareness that whatever is going on in your life is not because of somebody else. Somebody else might be involved, but it's all in how you respond to life. If you respond to rudeness with rudeness, you're going to get more rudeness. If you respond to yelling with yelling, you're going to get more yelling. You get more of what you get more back of what you put out there.
And you
So
get
put out gratitude, put out love, and that will come back to you.
This is so true what you shared. Thank you so much. It is what we put out there. So becoming aware, of course, and I think this is where journaling comes into play, to become aware of your thoughts. And yeah, and you mentioned before about the layers
Mhm.
to, yeah, and maybe it depends on how deep you buried your
Yeah.
whatever it is. I don't know how you call it. You are the expert here.
Yeah, it's there's buried layers from childhood. There are inherited energies that you get from your parents during conception, and there are things that you bring over from previous lifetimes that are lessons or karma that needs to be worked through in this lifetime. And sometimes we don't even know what that is. And so, the energy healing that I do allows us to kind of take a deeper look as to what is it that's going on that we need to address. Why do you keep getting into these patterns? Why are you having a hard time feeling the worry or feeling the shame that's coming up? Because when you can learn to really feel your emotions again, they don't last very long and they're not going to kill you. But energies are, or emotions are energy in motion. And so if you stifle them, they're going to get stuck. And then you're going to start to feel the physical and the mental pain that we as humans often feel.
Oh, yes. I would say what you resist persists,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I heard
Yeah. So,
this
yeah. So
before.
you resist that
Mm,
worry,
mm.
and then you're going to have more to worry about.
Yeah, because you chose to
Yeah.
in that moment, but you are not aware, and then you say, I don't want this, I don't want this, and this is why it stays.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, I understood something today. Thank you so much for sharing. Let me ask you about your goals and intentions for the future. Do you set goals for yourself, and what is one of your next projects?
Mm. My goal is always just to enjoy the day. Even if it's not a very good day. Like yesterday, I had to cancel all of my appointments because I was just exhausted. Because I had not really taken care of myself over this busy weekend I had, and it caught up to me. And so, even though I had to cancel everything and really couldn't do anything yesterday, I found that sitting and taking care of myself and being at rest for the entire day, I found joy in that, because it was something that I just try to find joy every single day. And the project I have coming up is I'm starting to do group healings again, that are all through email or Facebook groups. They're not one on ones, but it's an entire week of healing around one theme, whether it's financial abundance or anxiety or depression, but it's an entire week to help clear away those layers that are no longer serving the clients.
Wow, yes, you mentioned the layers, and I highly recommend to reach out to Tenya. She's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Of course, where can we find you?
Designyourexistence.com. Also, Design Your Existence on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
I love that so much. Please reach out. I had a great time talking to you, and now is the time for your last thoughts to the audience, please.
Last thoughts: you are worth spending your time on. Your time, your money, your devotion. You are worth every ounce that you've put on yourself. So invest in yourself, but take care of you.
Best message I ever heard. Thank you so much for sharing and for our interview.
Thank you very much.
And see you in the next episode.